What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Hilton Coliseum. My name is Chris Williams, here tonight for Iowa State and Houston. It's going to be a wild one. Been watching this Houston team kind of warm up, and they are as big as advertised. We'll preview it for you right after this here on Cyclone Fanatic.
I thought at our age, life would slow down.
Not with everything we need to coordinate.
My overtime, his basketball league,
My podiatrist and her PT.
his colonoscopy.
Her allergist.
We need to be in 2 places at once, which is no problem, because the Iowa Clinic has over 40 specialties all in one place. So when our doctors want to coordinate our care, they just talk to each other.
Our doctors work together to figure out the best care for us, so we can go back to our busy lives, juggling our doctors, our careers.
Our grandchild.
Care how you want it. Visit iowaclinic.com.
All right, guys, welcome back here at Hilton. About 30 minutes until tip-off, a little over that. ESPN 2 tonight. Hope you guys are safe and sound if you're watching in the great state of Iowa. If you're not, well, you're lucky because it's been brutal out there today. It's like that super heavy type snow that's just impossible. Broke my snow blower, that type deal. But good to be up here. The road really wasn't terrible on 35 North. All the side roads were brutal, though. So really don't know what to expect from this crowd. No students. But often these games are, it's an opportunity for some of these people who don't get to sit down low very often to be in that area. So I would guess the whole bottom area will be super full tonight. We'll find out about everything else. I can't blame people if you're in small-town northern Iowa for not making it here tonight. My hope is that they put their tickets up on StubHub and, got people to fill them who had a little bit easier travel. But for me personally, and I drive a big four-wheel drive, but it wasn't bad. I didn't think it was bad getting here. I've certainly driven in much worse to get to Hilton Coliseum. That's for damn sure. But a massive game tonight. Huge opportunity for Iowa State to pick up its first Big 12 win against a Houston team that is very dynamic in what it does. They have the nation's longest winning streak at 14 games with some impressive wins on their resume. They've beaten Utah, Dayton, Xavier, Texas A&M, and, of course, they beat West Virginia by 40 or whatever it was over the weekend on Saturday. You go across the board, Houston is ranked in the top 5 in almost every major defensive category. But there's one that I want you all to look at that is very specific, and that is pace. Okay? They are one of the slowest basketball teams in the country. Houston comes in ranked at 326th in tempo. For what it's worth, there's only 362 teams in college basketball. So, listen, is this a first team to 50 wins tonight? I don't know. It is wild to look at Iowa State's tempo this year. I think it's very fascinating. 88th in tempo, right? So Iowa State is one of the top third fast-paced teams in college basketball, but that hadn't been the case the last couple of years. And here they are now, speeding things up. So it's one of those something has to give type situations tonight for Iowa State and Houston. Houston's an interesting team in the sense of we no doubt how good they are. I'm not questioning that. This program hasn't had to face the meat grinder that is the Big 12 thus far. This is really the first big test when it comes to going into a Big 12 type of arena for Kelvin Sampson's team. Here's the deal, though. The reality is that Kelvin Sampson runs this like a high major program. They play good non-cons. I just find it hard to believe that there'll be too much here tonight at Hilton Coliseum that the Cougars aren't necessarily used to. I'm not a fan of realignment. I generally dislike it. Maybe I'm too old school. I'd rather see Big 8 than this new Big 12. But this is one of the rare events where it's cool to see Kelvin Sampson coming back into Hilton Coliseum, to see the top-ranked team in college basketball in almost every analytical basis out there. That's pretty neat. And we're going to see a good one tonight, I hope, here in Hilton. Point spread, it opened with Houston as a 4-point favorite. That thing is steamed down, which means the professional money is taking the points in Iowa State here tonight in Hilton Coliseum. LJ Cryer, one of the best guards in college basketball for like the third year in a row now. He's an absolute stud. Here's the thing I noticed when I was looking at these fellas from Houston earlier. They are thick across the board. You can tell that the weight room is a key component to what Kelvin Sampson is doing. This is going to be, I think Iowa State actually has bodies to match him. I don't know. In previous years, it would have been a very good matchup as far as that goes. We'll see. I don't see Robert Jones and Trey King backing down to anyone tonight. Their guards are where it's at, starting with LJ Cryer. I'm sure you guys are aware of him. 40% three-point shooter, really good at the free throw line. Don't put him at the line. Manuel Sharp, just as good. He averages about 3 points per game less, but he's a better rebounder for Houston, around a 35% three-point shooter. And then Jamal Shed, 38% three-point shooter as well. And he's the guy who gets things going, averaging over 6 assists per game for the Cougars. Let's take a few of these questions. Max is watching us on Twitter. We appreciate that. He says, expect defense to be more like a TJ team tonight. I don't know. Like, what do you mean by that? I don't think this Iowa State team is as good defensively as the last 2 years. I just don't. But it's much better offensively. So there's some give, and there's certainly some take. Do I expect them to all of a sudden flip the switch? No, I don't. So that's my answer. I don't. They need to. They need to be much better defensively and not have these bad bouts that we've seen. But listen, it's just not that style of a team this year. All right, that's one of the things I admire about Otts is he kind of coaches to his roster as opposed to letting, him, and his philosophies dictate what he wants to coach to the strengths of his team. And this team it's just not as nasty defensively, especially around the perimeter. Gabe Kalsher, I think people understand how good of a defender Gabe Kalsher was. Brockington was the same way 2 years ago. Right. So, and they don't have that guy. Lipsey's pretty good, no doubt. Really like Taman Lipsey as a defender. But Momcilovic, he gets lost out there a lot, unfortunately. And, that's something that should keep getting better. I think Gilbert is a pretty good defender. He's not Gabe Kalsher. Pretty good defender, though. And then, I think Curtis Jones is probably right up there with those guys as far as a defender off the bench. But you just don't have the absolute lockdown, dude, like you've had in previous years on the perimeter. And we've seen Iowa State struggle with that in some of these games. I think they're a good defensive team. Don't get me wrong. I don't think when you look at adjusted defense over the Big 12 season, Iowa State will be in the top 30. I just don't. I hope I'm wrong. If they're in the top 30, you're looking at a really nice seed in the NCAA tournament. I think they'll be in the NCAA tournament still, but I'm saying top 30 would be really, really good, I think, for this group. Love what I saw as I'm watching Hassan Ward during warm-ups right now. Love what I saw from him and Demarion Watson on Saturday in Oklahoma. Hopefully they can carry that out. You're definitely going to need that physicality tonight against this Houston squad. But massive opportunity. This is what it's all about. I freaking love Big 12 basketball. There's nothing like it. I miss the round robin, but games like this are pretty freaking awesome, so I'm not going to complain. There's a hell of a lot worse places to have your office than Hilton Coliseum tonight. I'll go to a couple more about questions. Ellie says, crowd doesn't look very good. Well, it's 30 minutes before tip. But they'll be fine. I don't think at least you're going to see a big difference on TV. We'll see what these uppers kind of look like, but it's filing in. I thought this would be a late arriving crowd. I think people will get here. I don't know if they'll be here right at tip. Ryan's calling for Curtis Jones game tonight. 5 threes, he says. Booyah. Booyah. We'll take that. Let's see what Max has to say. Do you think the offense will be able to win games as much as their defense in previous years? I sure hope so. Bloom and I have been talking about this. We think this is a good Hilton Coliseum team, and they'll have a chance to prove it tonight. This is more of a stylistic team that I think will struggle more on the road. You know, the defense, they say, travels. You know, the last couple of years, it didn't really matter where Iowa State was playing. They were scoring in the 50s. So you're kind of you're eliminating that margin for error. This team may get blown out 1 or 2 times on the road because of that. But I think they're probably capable of beating anybody who's on the schedule as well. So there you go. That's my thoughts. This will be a fun one. It's what it's all about. Enjoy it. ESPN2, 6 o'clock tip. I will be here live with you guys after the game as well. We thank our presenting sponsor, the Iowa Clinic Men's Center, for all they do for us here on Cyclone Fanatic. Enjoy the game, and we will be back here in about 2.5 hours, 3 hours or so. Later.